You're listening to Mornings on the Mall with Brian and Larry.
Hey, hey.
Joining us right now, Republican Congresswoman from Tennessee, Representative Marsha Blackburn. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
A very busy day in the House of Representatives yesterday as many bills made it to the floor for a vote, and probably the one that's getting the most headlines is the authorization to move forward with a lawsuit against the president. Can you tell us exactly what this bill says, what it does, and what is the distinction here between this move and impeachment? Because I see a lot of people who don't know the difference conflating the two.
Yes, they are trying to conflate the two. And what this legislation does is to allow us to hold the president accountable. And what he has done is work outside of the rule of law. And the lawsuit that we have filed speaks specifically to the Obamacare issue. And I know so many people have said, hey, why are you doing Obamacare first? And the reason is because you have a list and a grouping of issues that he used where he went outside the law, where he delayed portions of the law, where he changed the interpretation of the law. And I think it's a great starting point for us. It is where we should go as we look at holding the president accountable and making certain that he understands that you can't have a lawless administration. You can't have an imperial presidency. Your job is not to write the bills and pass the laws. Your job is to implement the laws. It is the court's job to interpret those laws. So a good starting point for us, and we think it's the right step.
And yet the President of the United States said yesterday that Congress, and by that he means Republicans in Congress, just needs to stop hating all the time.
I will have to tell you, I think it is time for the President to think about his tone and his approach. Because we love liberty, because we love freedom, because we value the underpinnings of what has made this nation great, that we are a nation of laws and a people who, as a people, choose to abide by the rule of law. It is because of that love that we are doing this. Now, he may not agree with us, but we are within our rights to approach this lawsuit, to take this lawsuit, and to hold this President of the United States accountable for the actions that he has taken.
I want to apologize in advance for the language of this next question, but I don't know any way to get to the question without sort of explaining what has been said. While the President is saying Republicans need to stop hating, we have come in possession of emails from Lois Lerner, the person at the very center of this IRS scandal, in which she describes conservatives, Republicans, and people in talk radio as crazy, rabid a-holes. Your thoughts on that?
Throughout my time as a state senator and then in Congress, as I have fought against the mainstream media and the liberal left, I have been called all sorts of names, all sorts of names. But in defense of and in the fight for liberty and freedom and to preserve faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity, they can call me whatever they want. And it is not going to bother me one bit. I think it shows the smallness of someone's character and mind when they resort to such name-calling. And if she has problems, which obviously she did, with a political philosophy, there is a way to have a discussion about that. But to resort in such name-calling and taming and to do this on federal time with taxpayer dollars, it is completely inexcusable, completely inexcusable. I have to tell you, my constituents, they look at this IRS scandal, they look at the manner in which employees at the IRS conducted themselves, and they say to me, I could never do that in my workplace. Employers say, I would never allow such in my business. And they wonder why the president has tolerated such activity, and his administration has tolerated such activity and allowed it to go on, while at the same time they have been so intolerant of other political points of view.
Yeah, we hear the same thing from our listeners as well. Representative Marsha Blackburn is our guest, Republican of Tennessee. And let's turn to the border now. So many people concerned not only with the current situation and the plight of these children and what America's policy will be toward these children who are continue to enter the country illegally, but a lot of people are concerned at the noise we're hearing from the White House and from Democrats in the Senate who are saying the president is about to make a sweeping, broad, and, as it's been described, generous executive authorization granting amnesty and work permits to millions of people who are in this country illegally outside of the confines of Congress. He's going to do that unilaterally. What will you, as a congresswoman and your majority in the House, do to stop that?
Well, we filed a new version of my DACA bill last night about 9:30. It is H.R. 5272. We will take a vote today on the floor of the House that will restrain the president and disallow these actions that he is seeking to do. It's a really short bill, only 2 pages. You know, everybody, including Nancy Pelosi, is going to have time to read it because it's not going to take them long. But what it will do is to prohibit any agency or any instrumentality of the federal government from issuing guidance, memorandum, regulation, policies, or similar instruments which would change or expand the deferred action program for any class of aliens that have not lawfully immigrated to the United States.
Well, that's sort of a preemptive. That's a preemptive move, then.
It is a preemptive, proactive move, and I'm glad the House is doing it. And let me tell you why we are doing this. This action, class of actions that the president has taken, either by executive memorandum, executive order, or executive action, he has turned every state in this country into a border state and every town into a border town. They are all experiencing some of the problems that the border areas of the country are experiencing. Because of this, we are hearing from our governors and our mayors, and they're saying you better get out in front of this issue because the issue has drug on too long without House action. And the House is where the activity is to play block and tackle on the president's executive actions and on the overreach of his agencies, whether it's the IRS or the EPA or the you name it. And what people want to see is we come home for August to be in our community and work. They want to see the president held accountable. They want to see this administration reined in. They want to see productive actions for the funding that Congress is going to do, and they want this out-of-control administration to be stopped.
We've got to roll. Representative Marsha Blackburn, thanks so much. Blocking and tackling.
Roll on.
Don there in Tennessee.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for that one. Roll on. Oh, I hope her Tennessee Volunteer fans down there in the SEC didn't hear that. That sounded close to roll tide.
Yeah, can't have that.